Made in Canada.
Never in a million years would I thought it would come from Canada.
Exported to the other side of the world.
As a cartel, they'll be looking at what is the easiest way to get it to New Zealand.
A drug crisis.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Fueled by cartels and biker gangs.
Could I just explain to you?
No, you can't. Cough. I'm everything they think I am and much, much worse.
We hunt for the source of the Canadian meth pipeline.
Get back in. He's obviously trying to lose us.
Watch as this man leaves a storage unit in Auckland, New Zealand. Repeated trips to his car, carrying out cases of beer from Canada. It's February 26, 2023. Just days later, this Canadian beer would have a devastating impact on an innocent young man and his family.
My brother was charismatic, the life of the house.
I always like to follow my mum around no matter what.
You're a big baby.
Big baby or what, I still stick to my mum, you know.
He was our everything.
21-year-old Aidan Segala lived with his sister Angela and her husband Billy in Auckland. One day, Aidan's boss started handing out cases of beer at work, Honey Bear house beer.
My brother had brought them from work and said, hey, my team leader had given me these for free.
We thought it was a new brand for us to first time taste a Canadian beer.
It was a sweltering hot day after work when they decided to crack some open.
And Aidan opened a can and just took a gulp. And then all of a sudden, he just sprinted to the bathroom and started washing his mouth.
Aidan told Billy the beer tasted strange.
When he had taken that sip and was telling you that it tasted salty, did he seem physically okay?
He was okay for, I'll probably say for first 10 minutes.
Aidan went to his room and phoned his mother.
He asked me what we doing and what we eat. He never said goodbye. He normally say, I love you, Mom, goodbye, but no, he didn't.
Because he didn't hang up the phone, his mom heard everything that happened next.
He was screaming out, I want my mom, I want my mom. I'm dying, I want mom, I'm dying, I want mom.
I say, Mom, and I say, yeah, I'm here, son, I'm here.
He, said to me, sis, I'm dying. And I said, you are absolutely not dying. Not today, not on my watch.
His body turned into stone and then face down, like fully face down onto the floor.
Aidan slipped into a coma. His family held a vigil at his bedside for almost a week.
His mom said those words that no mother should say. I think I'm ready to let him go. And then a few seconds after, he died peacefully. Yeah.
Aidan's cause of death, multiple organ failure from a lethal dose of methamphetamine, an illegal and highly addictive synthetic stimulant. But it didn't add up. Aidan didn't do drugs. And then Billy remembered the salty beer. He started opening the cans and pouring them out. Some had beer, but not all.
And I was like, hey, wait. This looks like liquid glue that's coming out of this can.
And then he thought back to the strange reaction Aidan's manager had when Billy called to tell him something terrible had happened and Aiden wouldn't be into work.
The one question that he asked me kind of threw me off guard, and he said, "Was it the beers?"
Billy turned the beer over to police. That gluey liquid was pure meth.
You guys were unwittingly playing Russian roulette with that beer. It could have been you who took that sip.
I wish it was me, to be honest. Like, he was 21. Just turned 21.
Police raided the rented storage unit where Aiden's manager had been captured on camera, removing cases of beer. An officer videotapes and describes the staggering scene they found inside.
It was very confined. I could barely walk around.
Towering pallets of Honey Bear beer, made in Canada, complete with the maple leaf logo, and white crystals blanketing almost every surface.
There was stuff everywhere, like lots of chemicals and what appeared to be methamphetamine just everywhere.
On the empty beer cans, on the floor, in the dustpan, in the bathroom. Buckets of it. 3/4 of a ton of meth, hidden in some but not all of these cans shipped from Canada. With chemicals and heat, liquid meth was being crystallized and prepped for sale.
The largest ever single haul of meth in the country.
The meth bust and the death of Aiden Sagala was a lead story across New Zealand.
The scale of this concealment was massive, 700 kilograms in that haphazard, messy warehouse. This is the horribly sad thing. They may not have found it without that tragic death of Aiden.
Aiden's death is a tragedy within a larger story. New Zealand is in the grips of a meth crisis. Wastewater testing shows meth use has doubled in 1 year, an addiction that is being fueled by an unlikely country, some 10,000 kilometers away, Canada. In 2023, New Zealand seized more meth from Canada than from anywhere else in the world. 824 kilos, that's more than 1,800 pounds of meth. In 2024, the most intercepts involved meth from Canada, 171, about 3 meth seizures from Canada every single week. It's being smuggled into New Zealand and Australia in suitcases. Presents, maple syrup, and even plastic animals.
That is methamphetamine from Canada.
It's this man's job to try to stop meth at New Zealand's borders.
I'm Dominic Adams. I'm the manager for investigations with the New Zealand Customs Service.
When I look at the chart of your seizures and see Canada in #1 slot for the last couple of years, I'm shocked.
Yeah, a lot of people would be shocked. So if you look back 10 years ago, Canada would not have been on the list.
Southeast Asia was once the main supplier of meth to Australia and New Zealand. But the new golden triangle is Mexico, the US, and Canada.
As a cartel, they'll be looking at what is the easiest way to get it to New Zealand. So some will definitely come up from Mexico through the US, up into Canada, then across. Some will come from the US into Canada and across, and some will come directly out of being manufactured in Canada. Unfortunately, we've got a lot of supply lines with Canada, and so criminal groups will just look to exploit those, and that's what they do.
New Zealand is a place of raw beauty, with stunning landscapes and a rich Indigenous culture. But we're investigating the dark side of this country and how Canadian criminals see New Zealand as a mecca for meth.
This neighborhood in Auckland is known as K Road. And when we asked locals where to go to see the meth crisis up close, they pointed us here.
Within minutes, these two approach.
Off to have a smoke.
In New Zealand, meth is known as P, as in pure.
You want to come?
Oh, you have pee?
Yeah.
You do?
You read it?
It's here where we meet Victoria, who invites us into her world as she goes to buy her next fix. Her dealer lives in this apartment building.
Hey.
Victoria comes back with a point of meth, which is 1/10 of 1 gram.
How much did this amount cost?
That cost me $100 tonight.
Yeah. That's about 80 Canadian dollars, one of the highest prices for meth in the world. In Canada, this would cost $5 or $10. "41-year-old Victoria has been addicted to meth for half her life.
I can't keep doing it, I'm so tired. And no one cares.
Barefoot, Victoria leads us down a muddy path.
Whoa, careful, careful.
This is her home.
So you live in the cemetery?
Yeah. So it's under this bridge here.
Okay.
Yeah.
With a rolled-up bill, she funnels a small amount of meth into the glass pipe.
And excuse me. Oh, do you mind if I...
No. But do you like the way that tastes?
Not particularly.
So why did you do that?
To get all of that. Okay. So just melting it, you don't want the pipe to go black.
What does that feel like?
Do you know what it feels like, power? Do you know what power feels like? Okay, let's see. Whoa.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah, fine.
Victoria has been in and out of prison for meth-related crimes, including robberies and assaults.
If you were to think back on the things that you did for meth or because of meth, is it a long list?
Probably prostitution. That's one of my biggest regrets. I stole money from my mum and my teeth were removed because they were breaking, they were falling apart. I think it's just robbed me of my pride.
Devastating. Every community in this country is impacted.
Greg Williams is a detective superintendent with New Zealand Police. He's also the director of the National Organized Crime Unit, which hunts outlaw motorcycle gangs and roots out international criminal networks.
The gangs continue to push the drug and bring it into this country, and we are fighting to try and stop them doing it. But meanwhile, the product's flooding in. There was just this tonnage coming our way out of Canada.
New Zealand has seized more Canadian meth than from any other country on Earth. An astounding 1,200 kilos, worth about $350 million, intercepted between 2020 and 2024. And that is just what's being caught.
That's a lot of meth coming our way suddenly out of Canada. You have a reasonably dynamic organised crime environment in Canada. From what we're seeing, the scale of it, you've got some really significant sophistication up there.
Could you have imagined when you first started this job that Canada would one day be at the forefront when it comes to seizures in this country?
No, we wouldn't have. Organised crime is setting itself up in places where it believes it can produce tonnage and then believes that it can ship from those countries. They're making big coin here.
In Mexico, meth costs about $500 a kilo. In Canada, that kilo is worth about $10,000. And in New Zealand, 1 kilo of meth sells for almost $300,000.
Transnational crime groups look at countries like New Zealand and Australia and go, this is the golden nugget. Like, I'm going to make a lot more money bringing product to New Zealand, right?
This nondescript building was actually used for a much larger drug operation than just Honey Bear beer.
It may not look like it, but this small warehouse was a major player in a global meth pipeline. And it's not just the hundreds of kilos of meth that was being stored and processed here from Canada. We know that there have been shipments from around the world for years.
Inside the unit, there were also bottles of kombucha smuggled in from the US, coconut water from India filled with meth, and Red Stripe beer flown in from Toronto, also laced with the drug. This graph shows the spike in power usage at the storage unit after each of those shipments, a telltale sign that liquid meth was being crystallized here for years. This was a sophisticated global network that smuggled hundreds of kilos of meth past authorities in Canada, the US, India, and New Zealand. We know the beer arrived in New Zealand by sea. It's the preferred route for crime syndicates moving large loads, increasingly from Canada.
When a shipment comes in from Canada, does it set off a red flag for you?
We've had a lot of drug concealments from Canada, so there's definitely one of the red flags for us.
Aaron Lewis is in charge of X-raying the containers as they come into the port of Auckland.
What's the biggest meth concealment you've ever uncovered?
Oh, it was one that we did here from Canada. It was hidden inside maple syrup.
The biggest meth seizure ever at New Zealand's border. These 713 kilos of meth came from Canada, hidden in maple syrup.
It was kind of sad in some ways that we keep coming and saying we're getting bigger and bigger seizures.
The two largest busts in New Zealand's history involved meth from Canada, hidden in the food supply. Prestige maple syrup is a real Canadian brand. Criminals bought pallets of it, replacing syrup with meth. As for the beer, New Zealand police hauled in Aidan Segala's manager, the one on CCTV, who was giving excess beer to co-workers and didn't know some of the cans still had meth in them.
You have the right to remain silent.
This is the police interrogation video of Jimmy Callon, charged with manslaughter.
Tell me everything you know about the importation, the supply of methamphetamine, and the death of Aidan Segala.
I seriously don't know anything.
Over the course of a 2-hour interview, the interrogator reveals the evidence against him.
Your fingerprints are on a bucket that was full of methamphetamine. You've actually purchased yourself a lot of the equipment. In fact, you had helped them unload the truck containing the beers into his warehouse, so you were there from day one.
I have never seen methamphetamine anything in my life, seriously. I have never done it, and I've never seen it in my life.
It took a jury in Auckland just 2 hours to deliver a verdict.
On charge 1, the charge of manslaughter, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Guilty of manslaughter. In February 2025, Callon was sentenced to 21 years in jail. We know he had visited Canada before his arrest. Another man pleaded guilty to importing the drugs and has been sentenced to 22 years. Baltaj Singh comes from a powerful family in India with a notorious criminal history. He's the nephew of the man who assassinated Prime Minister Indira Gandhi in 1984. But what about the criminals living in Canada who shipped that beer? 2.5 years after his death, Aidan's sister Angela and her husband Billy have questions.
Never in a million years would I thought it would come from Canada. Yeah. How the hell did that get into New Zealand? Like, how?
Somebody in Canada shipped that meth.
Shut them down and take them to jail. I'll be very brutal about this. This is murder. To be honest, I see it as murder.
Across Canada, there are secret drug labs where meth is being processed on an industrial scale. In the last 2 years, the RCMP has dismantled about a dozen of them.
The largest and most sophisticated drug lab in Canadian history in a small BC town.
In Falkland, British Columbia, population 900, the RCMP raided this farm in 2024. They seized a jaw-dropping cache of assault weapons, explosives, and drugs, which were being cooked in a commercial-grade lab.
Police don't believe the drugs were intended for sale in Canada or the United States, but would not say what countries they were destined for.
The media focus was on the 54 kilos of fentanyl ready for export, at a time when U.S. President Donald Trump was accusing Canada of being a major source of fentanyl into the States. That claim is simply not true. This graph shows the minuscule amount of fentanyl seized at the Canada-U.S. border compared to what's seized at the border with Mexico. The untold story is the 390 kilos of meth on that table. Canada is a major drug producer and exporter, but it's meth for the New Zealand and Australia market.
The lab's about 1 kilometre back in there behind those trees. And when police carried out their raids, they seized that 390 kilos of meth, but they also intercepted another 310 kilos as it was about to set sail. That is a staggering 700 kilos of meth, more than 1,500 pounds ready for export. And police say this operation is linked to a Mexican cartel.
The cartel footprint in Canada is alarming. The Canadian government has declared these 7 cartels terrorist entities.
Those groups have been listed because they are very much involved in crime impacting Canada.
So all those groups are active in some way in Canada?
Yes.
Chief Superintendent Mathieu Bertrand, the RCMP's Director General of Organized Crime, agreed to a rare interview.
These organized crime groups, they're Fortune 500 companies. They study the market just like we do. They know that there's vulnerabilities in certain countries. The organized crime groups will take the path of least resistance.
And is Canada the path of least resistance?
I would say no. From where I sit, the law enforcement response definitely hardens their ability to utilize Canada.
For some reason, those cartels are making a decision. It's better for us to take it all the way up to Canada to send it across. Why?
Those illicit substances are coming from every country in North America.
But for the shipments that are landing and being seized in New Zealand and Australia, they're coming from Canada.
So we're aware. Our head's not in the sand. It's obviously not a title that we're proud of. But because of it, I think our response will be measured towards that.
Part of that response, and this has not been announced publicly yet, starting in 2026, the RCMP will station an officer in New Zealand.
The 2 largest meth busts in New Zealand's history both came from Canada. Maple syrup and Honey Bear beer. Have any arrests been made in Canada?
So I can't speak to that. It's a very serious issue that those shipments came through Canada, but the RCMP was not involved, and therefore I can't comment on those cases specifically.
Why would the RCMP not have been involved in that?
There's many factors that are considered when determining which agency is best suited to take on a specific investigation. So in these cases, that would not have been the RCMP, and therefore there's a a partner better positioned to be able to respond.
Who would that be?
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that case.
I find that alarming that you're not familiar with the two largest meth busts in New Zealand's history.
I'm just not familiar with that case specifically.
I, for the life of me, cannot figure out then who is responsible for investigating. A kid is dead in New Zealand. This was hundreds of kilos of meth. Who is investigating that? It's been 2.5 years. The media handler off to the side jumps in.
I think New Zealand police would probably be best placed to give you information because they would be the ones to...
They told me it was you. They told me it was the RCMP.
The RCMP is not police jurisdiction for all of Canada. So just because we are a national police agency does not mean that we would have a direct involvement in the arrest or in the investigation of an individual.
So we emailed the head of New Zealand's Organised Crime Unit. Detective Superintendent Greg Williams says they worked closely with a response team known as CLEAR and the Transnational and Serious Organised Crime Team. Not one, but two divisions of the RCMP given information about the Honey Bear Beer case. We went back to the RCMP and in a follow-up email, an about-face. They now acknowledge they did receive intelligence reports. They did investigate by doing background checks and a cursory analysis of the network, and that an RCMP investigation did not lead to charges. Their investigation might be over, ours isn't. Here's what we've dug up. Honey Bear Lager Beer is not a real brand. Someone purchased about 29,000 aluminum cans, created these labels, and had some of the cans filled with beer and others with meth. They then smuggled pallets of it from Canada into New Zealand. By diving into sea cargo tracking data, we've been able to map the route. From Toronto to St. John, New Brunswick by rail, it then set sail for Newark, New Jersey, before traveling some 20,000 kilometers to the other side of the world, with a final destination of Taronga, New Zealand. In New Zealand court documents, we found that it was a Canadian company called Petrichor Beverages, Inc. that shipped the beer. Petrichor was incorporated in 2021, the year before the shipment, and dissolved in 2024, the year after Aidan Segala died in New Zealand. The director of Petrichor is listed as Azizdeep Singh Sandhu. The company address is actually this house in Surrey, BC. There was somebody named Azizdeep Sandhu who lived here?
Aziz Sandhu live in this basement.
Yeah. She says he moved out about 2 years ago. In the documents we've dug up, there's a phone number.
Hey, is that Azizdeep?
Yes.
Hey, it's Avery Haines calling from CTV. I'm calling because I'm working on a story about a company that you're the director of. Petrichor?
No.
Petrichor with the Honey Bear beers?
No. No company. I work on in the trucking industry. Like I'm a driver.
Sandhu admits he used to rent the basement at that Surrey address, but insists he knows nothing about Petrichor, Honey Bear beer, or meth.
Do you mind sending me all these paperwork so I can take a look?
Sure.
It's possible he's a victim of identity theft, but since then, Azizdeep Singh Sandhu seems to have fallen off the face of the earth. He hasn't replied to my emails. He's blocked my phone number and removed his profile picture. I've also been blocked from his Facebook account, which includes the quote, "Nothing is illegal until you get caught." On the phone, Sandhu mentioned that he lives in Delta, British Columbia. This house is owned by someone named Azizdeep Sandhu. With a value of $1.3 million, a land registry search shows it was purchased in March of 2023, the same month, the same year that Aidan Segala died in New Zealand. We stake out the house from across the street, and while we're getting drone shots of the neighborhood, a man makes eye contact and then goes inside. Repeated knocks at the front, and around back are ignored.
Hello? As is?
Then a man bolts for his car,
Jerry, get back in.
and we follow.
Okay, give him some room. Give him some room.
Driving slowly at first, the car turns into a mall parking lot before pulling back out onto the same road.
I think so. I think he knows that we're following him.
He picks up speed.
He's obviously trying to lose us.
Yeah, he's running from us.
Oh, he just did a U-turn. He just flew past us. He's going really fast.
We lost him. Our investigation hit a dead end, but it seems we got further than the RCMP. Listen to what Sandhu told us before he cut off contact.
Has the RCMP ever contacted you?
No, never.
That's just shocking.
Aiden's sister thought Canada would do more.
If the police in our end have done everything to give the information over to, Canada, yeah, nothing happening by the sounds of things, yeah.
That may seem shocking, but our research shows it's not unusual. We analyzed all the major busts in New Zealand of Canadian meth over the past decade. We couldn't find one publicly available case where someone was arrested in Canada for exporting the drugs.
It doesn't seem as though anyone is going after the organized crime units that are involved in these cases.
That's not correct.
Can you give me an example of one arrest that was made with a seizure in New Zealand?
We'll be able to provide you with specific cases if you'd like, of course. But I do know that there's been cases recently within the last year.
But in a follow-up email, the RCMP says they are unable to give further details on arrests. The beer and all those other mass seizures in New Zealand made it past Canada Customs. This is Canada Customs' National Targeting Centre in Ottawa. Aaron McCrory is the Vice President of Intelligence and Enforcement.
The bulk of our efforts are very much on looking at what's coming into the country. Our counterparts are doing the same thing all around the world. That's not to say, though, that we don't look at things leaving the country, but the real focus is on goods and people coming into the country.
When you face the criticism that there isn't enough screening, that we're talking tons of drugs that are making their way into the Pacific region, how do you respond to that?
When we've had success in terms of interdicting shipments leaving the country, and we're supporting Australian and New Zealand efforts to stop goods coming into the country.
You know, in New Zealand, one of the red flags for shipments coming in at the port is if it's a shipment from Canada. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
If it's a shipment from Canada, that's already marked as suspicious.
Suspicious.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important that we share information and intelligence with them.
The meth pipeline from Canada has not been crimped. Barely a month goes by without a significant bust involving Canadians trying to smuggle drugs by air into New Zealand, including in August 2025, 124 kilos hidden inside machine parts on an air cargo flight from Vancouver.
It's not just in New Zealand. Meth from Canada is flooding the market here in Australia as well. Criminals in Canada are moving their product by air, by sea, and through the mail, sometimes in ingenious ways.
This is Australia's largest mail sorting facility in suburban Sydney.
My name is Vera Petros and I'm an Australian Border Force officer.
Packages are x-rayed with suspicious parcels put aside. Petros wants a closer look at this box.
Where is that from? That's from Nobleton, Ontario.
Toys from Ontario. The green is plastic, but there's also a light orange color, a flag for drugs. We're wearing PPE because what's inside the boxes could be dangerous.
Yeah. Does that one have? Looks like it's had the top bit of it cut off and glued back on. We can see a little bit of glue residue on the side. So what we'll do is we'll cut into it and just see what we can find on the inside.
And then, jackpot.
Can I see inside the hollow? Oh, there's more in there.
So there's another bag in there as well.
The powder is put in the plastic testing pouch.
Drop it in there. And then we break the vials. Break the first one. If it goes blue, it'll be methamphetamine. So.
And it's blue.
Do you see that instant color change?
So that is meth from Canada.
That is methamphetamine from Canada.
Dozens of plastic animals stuffed with meth. And there is no Michelle Kahn living at this address in Nobleton, north of Toronto. The shocked homeowners are fearful for their safety and ask not to be identified. Their home appears to have been randomly selected by criminals shipping the meth. This is not a large enough seizure to warrant an international police investigation. When drugs don't get caught in the mail or at the border, there is a well-entrenched and widespread distribution network of dealers. And this might surprise you. New Zealand has one of the highest per capita gang memberships in the world. Some, like the Headhunters, produce their own slick videos. Others, like the Hells Angels, don't like the limelight. This clubhouse was recently raided by police. Those not behind bars aren't in the mood for journalists.
Can I just explain to you?
No, you can't. Go. Leave right now. You fucking piece of shit. Go.
Why is that? Why am I a piece of shit for that?
No. Media coverage. Go. Every single one of you.
But these gang members are more welcoming. We got rare access to high-ranking members of two of the most feared gangs, the Rebels, and the largest gang in New Zealand, the Mongrel Mob, which even set up a chapter in Montreal in 2018.
I'm everything they think I am and much, much worse.
I've been locked up most of my life. Ordering people to go and get money for me, and I know how that ends.
Sandy Tamati, a Mongrel Mob kingpin, is on parole for kidnapping and sexually assaulting a teenager over a drug debt. James Duff, a high-level dealer, also on parole, a longtime national president of the Rebels.
I've heard that dealers would actually go in and give meth for free in order to get customers. Did you do that?
Yes, sure, yeah. Just go around and sell it, just give it to them for free or just sell it cheap, until you create the market, and then once they're hooked, they just keep coming back.
These two and other top-level gang members aren't in prison right now because of this man.
Kyle Goldsberry is my name. What am I doing now? Changing people's lives.
And what'd you do before?
Ruin people's lives.
Carl Goldsberry, a former meth addict and lifelong criminal, has developed a program so successful that judges release gang members on parole into his care to live on his property, alongside his grandson, daughter, and wife.
To date, I've probably I've helped get out over 10 anyway. Over 10, not one of them have reoffended, not one of them have gone back to jail.
Carl's program includes taking these men back into prison to talk to other gang members about the life that is possible without addiction and crime.
Prison doesn't teach you anything. People teach people things.
One of the first people he helped is Baldy.
Father's a mobster, all my uncles are mobsters, brothers are mobsters, sisters married gang members, so you know, male role models are either violent or in jail doing life. The tougher and badder and uglier they are, the more we idolise them.
And what were you in jail for?
Oh, guns, drugs, violence, rape, everything like that. The chemical imbalancement of actually having meth was just making me just pretty much a predator, you know, and that's, and now I look back on it, it's just disgusting.
These men, once considered lost causes, are now reunited with their families, staying off drugs and away from crime.
I've been out of jail 6 years, haven't committed an offence in the last 8, which is a miracle for me.
In New Zealand's far north, this town is called Kaikohe. It may not look like it, but this region has one of the highest meth consumption rates in the country.
Why are we the meth capital of New Zealand? Where's it coming from? We don't grow it here, you know, so where's it coming from?
Canada.
Oh, well, there you go. Thank you, Canada.
Registered nurse Rhonda Zelensky runs the recovery hub in this mostly Maori community. The Indigenous people of New Zealand have a history that mirrors Canada's history. Colonization, stolen land, generational trauma, addiction, prison. We're given a traditional Maori welcoming ceremony called a haka.
I don't see gangs. I just see beautiful Māori people that need to change their life or they're going to spend their whole life in jail. And I don't believe that's where we belong.
You'll notice some of the men are wearing ankle monitoring devices and have both Maori and gang tattoos on their faces. Harley was released from jail into Rhonda's care just days ago.
What do the fists represent?
Black belt, New Zealand gang here.
What kind of an impact has meth had on your life?
For us, it's been a massive, massive impact. I started when I was 9.
9 years old. And what was your life like that made meth available to a 9-year-old?
Poverty, violence, yeah, gangs. I used it as an escape. And then it got into a habit. And then it turned lucrative.
Waka is now a standard word for a vehicle.
I think society sometimes see them as a menace, you know, a cost to society. I see people that probably have a lot of hurt, a lot of trauma, but have so much potential.
At the hub, they're working to stop the demand for meth. Rhonda wants to know who's trying to stop the supply.
What's been done about it from a Canadian perspective to stop it getting out of the country, but also what's been done about it from a New Zealand perspective to stop it coming into the country. Yeah, because it's killing our families. It's wrecking our communities.
They call this the Ram Ride. Riders Against Meth. Every year since the death of 21-year-old Aiden Segala in 2023, former addicts ride in his name, raising awareness about the dangers of meth. A ride through New Zealand that ends in a moment of silence at Aiden's grave.
His life was taken far too soon. We ride to remember him.
The scene that was so heartwarming. That feeling was like, man, this is for you, Aiden. It made us cry. I'm still living this guilt now. And I know my wife is as well. Like, we failed to protect our little brother. Like, that's the part that we have to live for the rest of our lives.
In the months following Aiden's death, Angela learned she was pregnant.
I knew that if it was going to be a boy, I'd be naming him after my brother, just to keep his name alive.
Aiden, hi, son.
His memories will live on. I wanted that for my family.
Ay, Hulk man, yeah, you're heavy. You're heavy. Oh my gosh, my arms.
But he relived in my son's Aiden's body. Like, he came back to life. So we see it as that way.
Love you. Love you.
My son Aiden is a blessing for our family. He's that bit of hope that we needed.